water lilies, peyotes, morning glories, which they grind it and mix it with fermented drinks. And then they blow it in the rectum, enema. Why there? Because we have the most sensitive membrane that absorbs it quick. No headache, no stomachache, no throwing up that way. All right? So you can imagine when they came in here and they have pine torches. Every single stalactite makes shadows, and they believe they enter in the wall of the spirits. That was the ritual that they performed when they entered the caves. All right? And most of the times, wet caves, if you look at, they're facing east and west. Okay? For the Mayans, that's like a passage from one world to the other. Now, if you read about archaeology, you will find out that saying that the Mayans were able to go from one world to the other, or one dimension to the other. Now, in the equinox and solstice, what happened? East and west connects with different constellations. So when they come to the caves, we know as a fact that they will just drop asleep. But in their psychedelic dreams, they believe they travel into different dimensions and speaking with their gods. That's one of the rituals they perform in caves. The other one is called Dia de los Muertos in modern times. Dia de los Muertos is more like a Catholic practice, not Mayan. If you go to Central America or Mexico, you see how a lot of people go to the cemetery to place a bottle of rum, cigars, tobacco, fried chicken, tamale. In southern part of Belize, like the Quechua Maya, they place a table at the entrance of the house with a lot of food. And they throw ashes around. But what is the ashes for? To capture the footprints of their ancestors. But if you go back, England or the rest of the world in the Middle Ages, the pagans used to do the same. So that is not exactly Mayan. It's a combination. What happened is when Fray Diego de Landa came to Mesoamerica, he destroyed the books and he mixed Catholicism with Mayanism. Doing that is started to convert people into Christians. Now, Mayans believe they need to come in here to bring food to their ancestors, because if they don't do so, the ancestor will go out at night and hunt their souls. So they offer corn, anatos, avocados, chili peppers, beans, and so on. But they will not eat that food in here. They will be fasting. This is for their gods. So what they did, they killed the artifacts or the Pacz. 3 ways of doing it. One of them is slam them completely in the ground. The second, just chipping the rim of the Pacz. The third, just drilling a hole. So they believe that the steam coming out of the food, that is what the ancestor will feed off, and they will let them go back to their places. All right, that's another ritual. And then the human sacrifices. Human sacrifices was to please the god, to appease them, because they believed that in the third creation, when they were made of corn, they grind the corn, create humans, but the gods did the bloodletting, so they have to pay back, that favor. And today's date, if you go to the highlands of Guatemala, Chiapas in Mexico, southern part of Belize, you still see some of those practices. Bloodletting still happen, but not from the private parts anymore. Just fingertips, lips, stuff like that. And like we were talking, Jamal was explaining this morning with Steve, how these indigenous people, you have to understand their practices. If you go to their land, you have to ask permission. They do rituals, to ask the gods if you're welcome or not to places like this. And that's why caves were important to the Mayans. The collection of the water, from the stalactites, they call it suhuija, which means holy water, that they will do in the offerings with that also. So places like this called Xibalba, which means Mayan underworld. If you go to Mexico, you heard the word metnal, which means the same underworld. You go central Mexico, Mictlan is the same word. So once again, like I explained to you last night, Maya means I don't understand you, or who the hell are you? 59 different ethnic groups in Mexico, 22 Guatemala, 3 here. That doesn't mean that they will practice the same religion. They will follow the same gods, of course, but practicing religion in different ways. But that is a little bit of what they were doing in caves like this. Belize is like a Swiss cheese, holes everywhere. And from over 1,000 caves have been discovered in Belize, 95% of them contain Mayan artifacts and human remains also.
How many gods did they create?
In general, if you ask an archaeologist, they tell you 13 gods of the upper world, 9 gods of the underworld. But if you go to Sinancantan in Guatemala, if you go to Chiapas in Mexico, you ask the indigenous, who is your god? They have the main god. But when you die as a parent, you become to be the God, the ancestor that communicated people from the earth to the heavens. So it's several gods. Now, 13, they call it 13 levels of the upper world, 9 levels of the underworld. But if you look in every religion, including the Egyptian, Chinese, Africans, Indians, and Native Americans, they believe that 13 is the 13 hours of daylight, 9 hours of darkness. Because during the day, the sun is Kinich Ahau, is the sun god traveling the 13 levels. In the west, he is sacrificed before his reincarnation or rebirth in the east again. But this time, he transformed into Balam Ahau, which means a jaguar god, and challenged the gods of the underworld. So these numbers 9, 5, 3, 7, 13, they're mythological numbers.
There isn't a mythological number of 21, is there?
21, you know, depends, because they have a cartoon, it ends in 20. But the beginning, 21, is very important, similar to 13.
Right.
So it's ending and beginning.
They used to be very extremely connected with the light. Did you notice at what time we have the light in the morning?
About 6.
5:30.